Steinberg sent over their newest expansion for Groove Agent, and it's called Crisp and Crushed. And it's got a bunch of drum kits. I think there's 25 kits in there with a whole bunch of patterns and something over 400 loops or one-shots that you can access as well. Each of the kits has patterns with it. And what I want to do here is show you how you could work with those patterns, work with the sounds in these expansions. So this would cover pretty much any Groove Agent expansion, really. And I do have to say, on an initial playthrough, these drum sounds sound really good. They've just got the kits dialed in, the patterns are fantastic, and it's going to be really easy for you to take those patterns, drop them onto a track, and then make them your own. You know, I'll show you how we can adapt them a little bit so everybody isn't using the same loops who gets this expansion. That's kind of the point, is to make it something for yourself. So let's have a look at it, and I'll put a link to Dom's video where he goes through a whole bunch of the kits, because it gives you a bit more of a walkthrough of the available sounds in there. So let's go check it out. So I've got it loaded here in Groove Agent SE, which just comes with Cubase and Nuendo. I've loaded it in, and over here on the right-hand side, if you can't see this, just click the little folder and you'll see the browser, and we've got kits, instruments for Crisp and Crushed, and you'll just have to click on the library itself. There aren't any styles with this library, but there are MIDI files, so you can drag the MIDI file from some other kit and use it in a totally different kit. So the first kit I'm going to play with is this Kick Me one. It has some really great sounds in it. When you're dealing with patterns or the drum sounds themselves, you're going to want to switch between pattern and instrument. So here over on instrument, you're going to see the actual individual sounds that load up for this kit. So once I get down to C1, I'm going to start triggering these different samples. I can also use my machine, just make sure it's set to the right octave in controller mode. And then let's see what other sounds we've got on here. So we go. And if I keep going up, you can see I've got more than just these 16 right here. So I go on to the next one, and I've got some other things like an impact, a riser, a swell, and then we got some loops, some sort of melodic elements. If I want to work on this one, I just got to click on it. And now I can see it over here. Really simply, what I could do is I could change the semitones right here, and then let's tune it up. And let's see if we change it up 12 semitones, what happens to the speed. You can see that the speed is staying the same no matter how much I pitch this up or down. So beyond the kit itself, let's go look at the patterns and how they work in Groove Agent. And with the patterns, you're going to find the MIDI note right here. So if we go back to our instrument, we can see this was C1, and we can see that this one starts on G sharp -1. So I need to go down a few octaves on my keyboard to get to that bottom loop. So here is the first loop. And then what we can do with this, because this is just playing a MIDI file, check this out, we can play with the swing of the loop right here before we even drag anything onto a track. Now we've got a full swung loop. Let's try shift clicking on a bunch of these and play with the swing. Let's set them up to 70%. And now we can see each one of those has 70% swing on it. Okay, I kind of like this bridge one to start with. So a couple ways of working with these loops is just to press record and play the loop. Here we go. You probably want to go through and see if the pattern changes over the course of 4 bars or if it's just a 1-bar pattern. Make sure your pattern is quantized and exactly that long, and then we can go on to the next one. And if the next one I wanted was D sharp 0, I could just double click on that and move that note up to D sharp 0. And now we're on to the next pattern. So the beauty of all of these patterns, and to me the most powerful part of them, is we can just grab this pattern right here, click on it, drag it, and drop it, and now we've got the drums right on our Cubase project. And we can see that the actual pattern is 4 bars long, so that's good to know as well. And then we can drag this one and put it just next to it. And so now I'm going to glue those together. By the way, I've made a key command for gluing, which is just Command-Shift-G, and I'm using that all the time, so highly recommend that key command. Now I can double click on this and I can see my drum information. And what I'd probably want to do in this case is go over to the GM map, turn that on, and then now what I can do is double click on this, create drum map from instrument. So let's click on that tab right there. And now we can see in our drum map, now we actually get all of the loops. So we can see all of the loops early on the lower notes, like the pre-chorus, the verse, etc. So there's our verse, this G#1, and then we can see starting on C1 we get our kick, and it's all properly named. So let me tell you, working with this drum editor in Cubase is probably my top feature of Cubase that separates it from so many other programs, and the ease of working with drums. I mean, there's a million things that to me separate Cubase from other programs. So now we can see our entire loop right here. Let's just play it from here. And we're kind of ready to go and start playing around with this. So let me pull up one more loop. Let's go with patterns, and we're going to go to maybe a verse. So let's drag that verse pattern up here, and maybe we'll swap these around and start at bar 2. And then I'm just going to give myself a little intro right here so I don't have to turn the click on. And give myself a little click just like that. There we go. Now what I would probably want to do is double click on this chunk, go in here and maybe start changing things up a little bit. You can see it's got maybe a bit of a fill every 4 bars. Maybe I don't want that one. Maybe I want something like that. So we can do kind of maybe we'll do something like this, and then try something else. I always like using the arrow keys. Now we got kind of a custom fill right at that spot. Okay, so this is good for drum programming. Maybe I'll get rid of actually let's leave the riser in right now and see how it fits in with some other idea. So what I'm gonna do now for instruments is go over to Retrologue. And with this one, I'm gonna use patches from a new library called Xphonika. And this one came out for Retrologue 2 a couple months ago, in the last few months anyways. And a good friend of mine, Gary Gibbons, put this one together, and no relation, but Gary's stuff that he makes, these patches that he makes for Retrologue and for Pad Shop Pro, you know, amazing sound design, really talented sound designer. So I'm just gonna arrow down. So let's go to maybe synth pad. I'm just going to go over to this second portion of this song, and there's a sound in there that I'm not crazy about. I think it's this one right here, this kind of snap. So what I'm going to do is shift double click on it so that they're all selected, and we're just going to try a different sound out. Yeah, let's go with that perk one. So let's make another Groove Agent track. On this one, we're gonna go find a kit that's got a little bit more stronger kick drum and snare drum in it, and we'll see if we can toss that one in there. Double click on it, and just to hear what the kit really sounds like, we're just gonna go over to the patterns. So I'm gonna go down, and we're gonna try some of these out. Now, I am at 85 beats per minute, so keep that in mind. I think a lot of these kits were made to be more at a 4 on the floor kind of, 110, 120 tempo. So I'm doing this for a little bit slightly different genre. Oh, I love this one. Well, I really like that kit, so maybe we'll just load that kit and just play something along with this other one that I've got in there that might fit in. So at the end, I started to get the beat that I liked. Okay, so I like this tambourine sound here, but it's a little bit intense right in the middle. So what I'm going to do is go find that one, G sharp 1. So that is right here, this tambourine. And we're just going to pan that one to the right. Super easy to go in and just tweak little settings on each of these individual sounds. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go add another Retrologue. And in this one, I'm going to go to keep it on Xphonika, and we're going to look for a bass. Okay, I like that one. Filter out some of the high frequencies a little bit. So I've got a low pass filter here. Bring the cutoff down a bit. And then I'm going to go to the envelope and just turn that down a bit. A little bit more. Maybe a bit more. And let's play something in. Okay, so I hope that gave you a little bit of insider info on how to use these kits in Groove Agent, how to get a lot out of Groove Agent, because Groove Agent is extremely powerful for such a simple drum program that comes with Cubase and Nuendo. By that, I'm talking about even Groove Agent SE. So go check out the other video by Dom so you can see some of the other kits in this expansion. Really great programming in this one. And I found a little synthesizer in Retrologue here. I'm just going to play it out, and make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell, and I'll see you in the next video.